Ladies and gentlemen, gather around because today we stand at the crossroads of truth and reality. Today, we confront the dark truth about the power of silence, a silence that comes not from weakness, but from strength. Today, we talk about the unspoken consequences of disrespect, about the people who fail to understand what happens when they push you too far, when they mistook your silence for submission or apathy. But no, my friends, there is far more to it. There is far more to the quiet storm that brews within a person pushed to the edge. You see, they never realized that disrespecting you would result in your lasting silence. How many times have you been underestimated? How many times have you been disregarded, pushed aside, or made to feel insignificant? They didn't think you'd notice. They didn't think you'd feel the sting of their words or the weight of their actions. But you did. And instead of lashing out, instead of screaming for validation, you chose silence. The silence that leaves them wondering, the silence that leaves them questioning. And now, that silence speaks louder than any word you could have ever said. The truth is, silence is a weapon far more devastating than any insult, far more destructive than any petty comment or malicious act. When you silence yourself, when you choose not to engage, you take control. They don't realize the depth of your silence. They don't realize that their words, their actions, their disregard has not made you crumble but has made you evolve. In their arrogance, they think they've won. In their ignorance, they believe they've broken you. But what they don't understand is that every time they disrespect you, you grow stronger. Every time they try to push you down, you build a fortress around your heart, an unshakable wall that their words can never penetrate again. You see, silence is not weakness. It is not surrender. It is the moment when you stop begging for validation. It is the moment when you stop explaining your worth to those who will never see it. It is the moment when you realize that the battle was never about convincing them to respect you. It was about respecting yourself enough to walk away from the fight altogether. They thought that their words, their actions, could silence you, but in reality, they only created the quiet that would forever haunt them, the silence that now serves as a reminder of their own failure. The harshest lesson they'll ever learn is that the more they disrespected you, the more your silence grew. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of life, in the drama of others, in the chaos that surrounds us every day. But there is something far more powerful than noise. It is the quiet strength that comes from knowing your worth and standing firm in it. It is the quiet confidence that refuses to be shaken by the opinions or actions of others. They think they've won because they see you standing still, unmoved, and they mistake that stillness for weakness. But that stillness is the calm before the storm. That stillness is the eye of the hurricane, where the strength is gathering, ready to unleash when the time is right. They never realized that by disrespecting you, they gave you the greatest gift of all, the gift of freedom. The freedom to no longer be bound by their opinions, the freedom to rise above their petty insults and judgments. Because you see, when you stop seeking validation from those who don't value you, you are free. You are free to walk away from their negativity, from their toxic behavior, from the chains they tried to place around your spirit. They didn't realize that their disrespect would lead you to realize that you didn't need them in the first place. And that realization, my friends, is more powerful than anything they could ever take from you. And as the silence grows, so too does the clarity. With each passing day, you see things more clearly. You see the people who were never meant to be part of your life. You see the ones who only wanted to tear you down. You see those who mistook your silence for weakness and thought they could walk all over you. But now, you know better. Now, you see through the charade, through the mask they wear, and you understand that their disrespect was never about you. It It was always about their own insecurities, their own need to feel superior, their own desire to make themselves feel better by making you feel small. In the silence, you find your truth, you find your power, and the more you embrace this silence, the more it becomes a force of nature. It becomes a shield that protects you from the venom they try to poison you with. They will never understand the weight of their actions, the consequences of their words. They will never understand the deep, cutting silence that now surrounds you, because they never understood that disrespecting you would result in your lasting silence. But let me be clear. This silence does not mean that you are passive. This silence does not mean that you have given up or that you have surrendered. No, this silence means that you are done fighting battles that were never yours to fight. It means that you are no longer wasting your energy on people who will never see your worth, people who will never recognize your strength. This silence means that you have found peace within yourself, and you no longer need the approval of others to validate your existence. You are enough, just as you are. And for those who tried to break you, for those who disrespected you, for those who thought they could make you feel insignificant, know this: your silence will haunt them. It will be a constant reminder of the person they thought they could manipulate, the person they thought they could control. They will wonder what happened to the person they once knew. They will wonder why you no longer care, why you no longer respond, why you no longer give them the time of day. And in that wondering, they will realize the truth. They never really had control over you to begin with. You were always the one with the power. You were always the one who held the cards. And now, they are left with nothing but their own regrets and empty words. And as they sit with their regret, as they replay the moments when they disrespected you, they will begin to understand. They will understand that disrespecting you was never about you. It was always about them. It was about their need to diminish others, to feel better about themselves. But what they failed to realize is that when you stop playing their game, when you stop reacting to their actions, you win. You win by simply being you. You win by living your life with dignity and strength, unaffected by their petty games. You win by rising above the noise and embracing the silence that they have created. The lasting silence, the one that they never expected, is your ultimate weapon. It is your testament to your own resilience, your own strength. It is the final word in the conversation they tried to start, the last statement that leaves them with nothing but their own foolishness. You will walk away from them, from their disrespect, from their attempts to bring you down, and they will never understand why. They will never understand that you did not need to fight them to win. You won simply by choosing not to engage, by choosing not to give them the power they sought. And that, my friends, is the power of silence, the power to stand strong in your own worth, the power to refuse to let others dictate your value, the power to walk away from the noise and the chaos and to find peace within yourself. They never realized that disrespecting you would result in your lasting silence. And in that silence, you find your power, your peace, and your strength. Because let's be honest, too often in life, we find ourselves surrounded by people who don't truly see us. We give our best, our time, our energy, and still, they take it for granted. They underestimate us, belittle us, and at worst, disrespect us. They expect us to react, to engage, to fight for their recognition or approval. And when we do not respond, they are left confused, perplexed, even angry. Why is this person not reacting? Why are they no longer playing by the rules we've set? They don't know. They can't know. Because they've never understood the true nature of strength, the kind that doesn't come from noise, from shouting, or from arguing. The kind of strength that comes from a quiet, deliberate decision to protect your peace at all costs. This decision to stay silent, to not respond in the way they expect, is a conscious and powerful choice. It is a declaration that your worth does not need validation from those who seek to tear you down. It is a message that you no longer need to justify your existence to anyone, especially not to those who don't value you. There is an immense amount of power in that. Power that many people will never understand because they mistake silence for passivity. But silence is not passive. It is active. It is an act of resistance against those who try to diminish you. It is a strategic move that shows you are in control of your own narrative. You are not playing by their rules anymore. You have decided to stop feeding into the drama and noise. You have decided that your peace is worth more than their petty attempts to disrupt it. When we are disrespected, we are often faced with a choice. Do we react? Do we respond in kind, matching their aggression or their disregard with our own anger, frustration, or resentment? Or do we stand firm in our silence and allow the disrespect to pass without it finding any fertile ground to grow? Too often, the first instinct is to fight back, to stand up for ourselves, to make sure they know they are wrong. And sometimes, in certain contexts, this may be necessary. But more often than not, fighting back only perpetuates the cycle of negativity. Responding to disrespect with more disrespect creates a toxic environment for both sides. It fuels the fire, keeps the conflict alive, and ultimately leaves both parties feeling worse. Silence, on the other hand, is a form of self-preservation. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you are saying, I do not need to prove anything to you. You are protecting your energy. You are refusing to allow someone else's insecurity or bitterness to disturb your inner peace. Your silence becomes a shield that guards you from their attempts to drag you into their turmoil. You become an immovable force, unshaken by their negative energy. And what they don't realize is that every moment you stay silent, every time you choose peace over conflict, you are slowly taking your power back. You don't need to engage with the disrespect. You don't need to explain why you're hurt. You don't need to justify your feelings to anyone who will never understand them. You don't need to bend to their expectations of how you should behave. The moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop feeding the cycle of negativity, you take back control. You begin to realize that your value, your peace, and your self-respect are not contingent upon the approval of others. They are not determined by how others treat you or how they perceive you. They are intrinsic to who you are. And the more you stand in your truth, the more you cultivate a deep and abiding sense of peace, one that no disrespect or negativity can touch. But the journey to this realization is not an easy one. It requires deep self-awareness and self-love. It requires knowing who you are and understanding your worth, independent of anyone else's opinions. Too many of us spend our lives seeking validation from others, craving their approval, their affection, their respect. And when we don't get it, we feel crushed, as if something is wrong with us. We take their disrespect as a reflection of our inadequacy. But the truth is that their disrespect is a reflection of them, not of us. It speaks to their own limitations, their inability to see the value in others, their own struggles and insecurities. When someone disrespects you, it is not a reflection of your worth, but of their inability to appreciate you. And so, in silence, we find clarity. We see people for who they truly are. We stop depending on their validation to define our value. We begin to let go of the need to please others, to be accepted, to fit into their narrow, toxic vision of who we should be. Instead, we embrace the freedom that comes with silence, the freedom to be ourselves unapologetically, without the need to explain, justify, or fight for acceptance. In that freedom, we begin to reclaim the pieces of ourselves that were once scattered by the judgments of others. we begin to understand that we are worthy of respect, not because we've earned it through proving ourselves to others, but because we exist, because we are human, because we deserve to be treated with dignity, no matter who we are or where we come from. When we truly embrace this truth, we no longer need to waste energy on people who don't see our worth. We stop begging for their approval. We stop trying to change ourselves to fit into their expectations. And in this space, we grow stronger, more confident, and more self-assured. What others think of you, what others say about you, no longer matters. Their words, their actions, their criticisms, they all lose their power. And this is where the true power of silence lies. It is in the absence of reaction, in the absence of validation seeking, that you discover your true strength. You learn that you do not need to explain yourself to anyone. You do not need to justify your decisions or your actions. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone, especially those who have already shown they are incapable of appreciating you. In fact, the more you learn to stand firm in your silence, the more you begin to understand that their disrespect was never about you at all. It was always about them. It was always about their own fears, their own limitations, their own inability to recognize the value of others. People who disrespect you often do so because they are afraid of your power, afraid of your potential, afraid that you might surpass them. They are threatened by your strength and resilience. And instead of acknowledging it, instead of respecting it, they try to break you down. They try to diminish your light, hoping that if they can make you feel small, they can feel bigger. But what they fail to see is that the more they try, the more you grow. The more they disrespect you, the more you evolve. And in the end, the silence they created becomes your greatest weapon. It's the weapon of self-preservation, the weapon of peace, the weapon of unshakable strength. And when you choose silence, you choose not to engage in the battles that will never serve you. You choose not to lower yourself to the level of those who try to undermine you. Instead, you rise above. You walk away from the negativity, the toxicity, and you continue on your path, unbothered, unfazed, and unstoppable. And as you walk away, you carry with you the knowledge that their disrespect was never about you. It was always a reflection of their own inner battles, their own limitations. You are free of their judgments. You are free of their expectations. And in this freedom, you find the power to be who you truly are. Choosing silence in the face of disrespect is not a decision that comes lightly. It is not a path that is easy to take. No, this is the path of the strong, the courageous, the ones who understand that true power is not about shouting the loudest or making the most noise. True power is knowing when to stay silent, when to walk away, and when to simply let go. It's about finding the inner peace that allows you to exist in harmony, regardless of the noise that others may try to bring into your life. You see, the real power lies not in your ability to react or fight back, but in your ability to let things go. The real strength comes when you refuse to engage in the battles that others try to pull you into. The battles that have nothing to do with you and everything to do with their insecurities. The battles that are designed not to elevate you, but to drag you down to their level. These are the battles that you no longer need to fight. And when you choose silence, you make the conscious decision not to waste your energy on them. You make the decision to preserve yourself. You protect your peace at all costs because you understand that peace is a precious commodity, one that should not be wasted on things that don't matter, on people who don't respect you. When you choose silence, you also choose a kind of freedom. It's a freedom that comes from no longer feeling the need to explain yourself to anyone, to justify your actions, your thoughts, or your beliefs. It's the freedom that comes with understanding that your worth is inherent, that you do not need to prove anything to anyone, especially to those who refuse to see your value. You stop seeking approval from people who are incapable of giving it to you. And in doing so, you release the chains of dependency that bind you to their opinions. You no longer seek validation from the outside world because you have learned to find it from within. The weight of constantly seeking validation can be crushing. It can drain you, wear you down, and leave you feeling empty, as if your existence is only meaningful if others acknowledge it. But when you choose silence, you choose to remove that weight from your shoulders. You choose to stop carrying the burden of other people's expectations. You stop living for the approval of others, and you begin to live for yourself. You realize that your value doesn't depend on how others perceive you, but on who you are at your core. You find the strength to stand tall in your own truth, and you stop allowing the opinions of others to dictate your worth. The ability to walk away, to remove yourself from situations that no longer serve you, is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. When you walk away from disrespect, when you choose not to engage in toxic or harmful interactions, you are showing yourself the respect you deserve. You are telling yourself that your peace matters more than anything else. You are telling yourself that you are worthy of love, kindness, and respect, and you will not settle for anything less. And this, my friends, is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It is a declaration that you will no longer tolerate mistreatment, that you will no longer subject yourself to negativity and hate. You are drawing a line in the sand, and you are saying, "This is where I stand. This is where I draw my boundaries, and I will not allow anyone to cross them." And as you walk away from the negativity, you begin to realize that the toxic people in your life are not your problem. They are not a reflection of you, but of their own struggles and limitations. When someone disrespects you, it is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their inability to see your value, to recognize your strength. They are simply projecting their own inner turmoil onto you. They are trying to make you feel small because deep down, they are afraid of your power. They fear what you represent: strength, resilience, self-worth. They fear that if you realize just how powerful you are, they will lose their grip on you. And so, they try to make you feel less than, to diminish your light, to bring you down to their level. But what they fail to understand is that your strength cannot be shaken by their fear. It cannot be dimmed by their insecurities. You are a force to be reckoned with, and the more they try to break you, the more they unknowingly build you up. Every attempt to diminish your light only makes it shine brighter. Every disrespect, every insult, every attempt to tear you down becomes fuel for your growth. It pushes you further along the path of self-discovery, self-love, and self-respect. It makes you realize that the only approval you need is your own. The only validation that matters is the validation you give yourself. And this is where the true power of silence lies. In silence, you find clarity. You see things for what they truly are. You begin to understand that the people who try to bring you down are not your enemy. They are simply reflections of their own inner battles. And when you recognize this, you no longer feel the need to fight them. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to them. You simply walk away, knowing that you are free. You are free from the shackles of their opinions. You are free from their negativity. You are free to live your life on your own terms, without the burden of their judgments weighing you down. This freedom is not something that comes easily. It is something that must be earned. It is something that comes with time, with experience, and with the realization that your peace is worth more than any battle, more than any argument, more than any insult. When you reach this level of understanding, you no longer let the opinions of others control your emotions. You no longer let their disrespect dictate your actions. You rise above it all and you walk away, knowing that you are stronger than ever before. And this is the lesson that many people never learn. They never realize that disrespecting you would result in your lasting silence. They think that when they disrespect you, They have won. They think that when they push you down, they have defeated you. But what they fail to realize is that your silence is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign of strength. It is a sign that you are no longer willing to engage in the toxic patterns that they try to create. It is a sign that you have taken control of your own narrative, and you are no longer allowing anyone to dictate your worth or your actions. In the end, silence becomes your greatest weapon. It is the weapon that protects your peace, your dignity, and your self-respect. It is the weapon that allows you to walk away from the chaos and the drama and to continue on your path with unwavering strength. It is the weapon that allows you to stand firm in your truth, knowing that you are enough, just as you are. And as you continue on this journey, remember that the power of silence is not about keeping quiet in fear or submission. It is about choosing not to engage with anything that does not serve you. It is about choosing yourself, your peace, and your strength above all else. So, the next time someone disrespects you, remember that their disrespect is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their own limitations. And in your silence, you find your strength, you find your peace, you find your power. And with each step you take away from the negativity, you move closer to the life you deserve, a life filled with peace, respect, and the unwavering knowledge that you are worthy of all the love and success the world has to offer. In conclusion, never forget that the greatest victory comes not from fighting back, but from refusing to engage in battles that are not yours to fight. When you choose silence, you are choosing peace. You are choosing strength. You are choosing to stand firm in your worth, regardless of how others see you. They may never understand the power of your silence, but that is okay. They don't need to. You know the truth. You know that the silence they misinterpreted as weakness was actually the strength that will carry you through every storm, every challenge, and every moment of disrespect. And in the end, it will be your silence that speaks the loudest.